Alright, welcome to my workshop. Today we're going to have a little fun. We're not building anything structural, we're not refinishing anything, we're just making something fun. Many of you may know me from my appearances on my partner's blog, pressureluckcooking.com. My partner and I, Jeffrey, have been together for many years. He is turning 40. He is a youngster, almost 2 months younger than me. So for his birthday, he actually asked for me to use my kind of creative skills. I'm not super visually creative. I have some design skills, very much two-dimensional design skills. I cannot do a lot in 3D. I can't really even think in 3D and perspective and all of those things. But I used to design front pages for newspapers and special features and things like that. So I built some skills in like software like Photoshop and InDesign. Like Jeff, we both have a flair for mid-century modern design, whether it's furniture or hip kitschy stuff, cocktail bar lounge kind of vibe. We both have a real affinity for that. We look for things that are very cool and mid-century all the time. We love Palm Springs. So we've moved to this country home in the mountains, and you may know there's a basement in it that we've basically turned into a bar. You've seen the pool table. There's a card table, a dartboard. We have a karaoke machine. Jeffrey's really into pinball machines, so he's got some old pinball machines he used to love as a kid. We just wanted to have that vibe of when things are open and people can come and enjoy. We want to have a place where everybody can feel comfortable. And Jeffrey asked for a sign to encapsulate that kind of vibe of the bar. This is the prototype. Let me see if I can get it. Not very well colored, but this is what we're going to make. We have some thin plywood here. We're going to cut this out. So this blue part with the orange is going to be the back. This yellow scoop are both going to be plywood. This green thick piece is going to be plywood too, but I'm going to cut it out later. I didn't even mark it out because it's just a strip. So what we're going to do is sandwich those. These yellow things are going to be lights. So I have a string of chasing lights, which we will run in here, which is going to go here, there, and there. We're going to spell out cocktails on Krigger. Here we go. This scoop is going to have this orange stripe is going to be an LED strip that looks like old neon. We're going to sandwich these things, stack them up, whatever. We're going to make a cool sign for Jeffrey's birthday. All right, welcome back. I have these sign pieces pulled out already. These were fairly easy to cut. Once you do the angle calculations and everything, I haven't used trigonometry in a long time, so it's fun to practice with that. Of course, it's not exact. You don't have to be exact with it. Basically, you get most of the angles figured out. And you just let the last one lie where it lies, even if your angle calculation is not quite right. So I recently painted a room with this color right here. This is called a GN teal, and I have this big container that I keep around for touch-ups on the plain white walls and ceilings. I combined the two a little bit to see if I could get a lighter blue color, so I mixed them right there. You're just going to paint it all over, and we're going to see what this looks like. We have gotten these pieces painted. I have used an acrylic paint, which is like painters, like artist paint, which probably wasn't my best choice. It's kind of, it doesn't go on even, so you have to really get it on thick to get the spots. I'm probably going to have to go back a little bit. While this is drying, however, we are going to work on our letter boxes, the boxes that the letters for the word cocktail go on. So while we're waiting for those pieces to dry, we are going to cut our styrofoam for our letters. I've cut one already, and it was a little rough. I have extras, so I can try to even this up or work it out. We're going to measure 18 7/8. We're going to try to put something on the butt so we can, something hard back here, heavy to hold them. Okay, look at that. So we have a block of wood. So we're going to square everything up. So we have a block of wood. That's good. Bump this up against the wood. That's square, this is square, everything is square. Square in a spot, yes. So, here we go. Now, we're going to stay as close to the table as we can without cutting into the table itself. Here we go. Now look at that, that's a clean Good clean edge. Now we have to do it this way. We have to cut this way. Let's add 5 inches right there. So what we're going to do now that we have this at 5 inches and we have several to cut, we're going to clamp this down at 5 inches. I'll hold that board in place. So we're going to clamp. It's 5 inches and we're good. So, so that's 2 letters. All right, so we have our letters now. So we're gonna paint basically this acrylic on here. This goes so much better on the styrofoam than it does the plywood. The plywood has a lot of spots in it. This one actually covers the white on the styrofoam very well. I already have much of this painted. As soon as this all dries, we'll start cutting the holes in this board for the marquee lights and attach them. Obviously we have letters to place on each one of these. So now we are going to make our letters. We are going to attach these together and so that they look like that up there. What I've done is taken 2 boards, make sure they are square with the styrofoam pieces, and then pull them away a few inches. Basically about 2 inches, pull them away from each other. All of these are the same length, so as long as you move them away, these opposite gaps are gonna be the same length, right? My letters are about 14 inches tall, so I just wanna make sure from the top of this one to this one is more than that. I want it to be staggered, but not so much that it's unreadable and too playful. My first instinct was to use this spray adhesive. This Gorilla Glue spray adhesive actually has 2 little asterisks next to foam. You look on the back, it says do not use on styrofoam. I tested this on some styrofoam and it just ate the styrofoam away, so obviously we're not gonna use that. I did do a little more research and Elmer's glue is a good option, and then we're gonna weigh it down. So we're just gonna glue all along this wood. Need to keep mine, so I'm just gonna flip it back over like this. And then we're gonna put some weight on it. So we're just gonna use this board right here, put that on there. All right, so we are ready to put our glowing neon on here. Oh my gosh, look at that. So what we're gonna do is start it under here with the letters somewhere. We're gonna start that so that the wire is not visible there. So that's about right here, I'd say. Obviously, if you used super glue before, I'm gonna get it on there. You wanna get it down as soon as possible. Squeeze it, put it down, and then maybe put some weight on it. It's already sticking. That's good. We're actually kind of doing it. We have finished gluing this to our board. I just let the excess, rolled it up and put some glue under there. I used mostly super glue until I ran out. I got some more. The brush kind of didn't do well on the corners, so what I used there was hot glue. I used a hot glue gun. This is silicone, so it doesn't melt. Now that we have this all pretty and painted, we are going to cut the holes for the lights. Saw these at the spots that they're given. Here we are with the board. We have our holes all cut out. So what we're going to try to do is start with the beginning of this string of lights, and we're going to try to feed them in. I have hot glue, which we're going to use to glue this part close to the hole, and we're going to do that with all of them. And we're going to wrap the excess with each one as we get it. We'll wrap that, and maybe we can even hot glue that. I have these O-rings right here to hold these lights on this through this hole, or enough to hold it on. The cord right here. We'll hot glue this after we're done if we can get it in. So we've got these lights in here. I have a little more precision work to do on these. I have an O-ring on the front and the back, which will help hold each light in place and make it easier for it to maneuver. These lights have a bit of a little octagon kind of rim on them, and that's for kind of wedging them in these holes. So I want to get that octagon directly in the hole, and then the O-rings on either side. That'll hold it and make it easier to straighten up. In the meantime, I'm going to show you what it looks like on the back here. So this is how we set the wires up. I used a lot of hot glue, making sure that I wasn't melting any cords. I've tested it, it works. And then I curled up and just glued them down to save space, because we are going to need to gap this from the walls to accommodate all of these kind of things right here. These things I glued before, and I had to pull them up when I replaced them because I put too many holes in here. I had originally thought I had 32 lights. I put that on my design. I marked it later, and then when I was doing the math to do the gaps, I forgot that they were just 30. So what I did was rearrange them so they're easily coverable. So this green strip is going to go over these two holes on the front. I know there are going to be plenty of oopses in this situation. So what we're going to do is we're about to glue two pieces on the back of this to cover basically the sides so you don't see all these lights, and to kind of help space it from the wall in here. So what we're going to do is glue them, and then we'll cut the excess off. And we're going to leave some excess on either side. We're going to make sure it is even to this side. You can even go a little in, but we're going to bump against these lights. We're going to wait to do the other one until I don't want it to interfere with adjusting those lights. So we'll wait and do that after. I also found that the weight of the clamps was pulling it this way, and you don't want the out of the sign to do this. So I put some string up here, it's just mason string, and I ran it through the two holes here. Tied it over here to the opposite side to kind of lean it in. So if anything at all, it's going to be leaning in. We'll probably glue some felt on the back of this so it doesn't put marks on the wall. So I'm here with my base frame for the sign. It's back here a little bit. I've put a French cleat on the back already. I attached it with a 2x4 and one of these thin boards that I put on the side. I glued those on. I showed you how I glued those on. So I glued both sides. Here, the bottom and the top are going to be open. At least until I decide they shouldn't be, but basically they're going to be hot. They're going to be hanging in a spot where you can't see over or under the sign, so who cares? And you need access for these cords. Here I have marked off a line. This is going to be hidden completely by the word cocktails and the scoop. So now I have a reference to where to mount things to. The next thing we're going to mount is the yellow scoop in the middle of the sign. What we're going to need to measure this out, basically we're going to go from this corner, this 9 inches, 10 3/4 from this corner, 9 from this one, and we're going to use a bevel gauge to get the degree. Okay, so we tighten that. This is the angle that we're going for right there. It says 139.9. We're going to make a mark on this 10.5 inches in, which is right there. I'm going to mark that. We can touch it up with paint in the end. We're going to mark the yellow piece. All right, now we're going to mark this at 9.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is hold this with one hand. Luckily it's light. You're going to try to line them up. The bevel gauge is right here, convenient, so you can make sure it's right. The drill is right here, and the screws are in my teeth. So we'll see how well this goes. Oh, whoops. I marked this on the wrong side, so we're going to go 9.5 from the corner right here, which is right there. Okay. We're going to mark it on the side. It's a little easier to cover up that way or to ignore. We need the marks to line up, which is right here. Now we're going to do our bevel gauge. We've got this extra neon coiled up. because it's going to be behind something. So I didn't feel like cutting it off in case I need it. This, however, needs to go through here. So we are going to drill a hole big enough for this to go through the back. End of the scoop is kind of flapping. I've got tiny screws that will go through one and into the other, but it's not long enough to go through both. I've run out of regular glue, so we're into the gold glitter glue. So let's make sure that doesn't get on the front of this thing. So here you go, seeing it with lights on it for the first time. We've got the bulbs in there. Obviously, I missed these two holes. I cut too much, but we're gonna put a strip over that. This neon is kind of interesting. You can put it on different lengths. There are two remotes for this thing. So you can make this strobe. You can make it strobe in different ways. Blue, different colors, the yellow, Mardi Gras colors, red and blue. Do this one as a mode solid, or we can actually change the mode here. I like that one. So far, this is very cool. So the next thing we're gonna put on here is these letters for the sign. It's gonna say cocktails across here. Wood to go right over here, and this is gonna go about right there. So it's gonna go right here, and it's gonna space out a little bit. It's going to space out enough to go on top of that other level. And we're going to have this word in here. We're going to have Krieger on here spelled out. I have cut this with a jigsaw. It's not the nicest letters, but I used a stencil that was made on poster board. So what we're going to do is actually glue that on top of this. All right, I cleaned up my space a little bit, and I'm going to show you what I did and what I did here. You can see that I've traced these out. So what I have here in this box that was mailed to me are the letters for the word Krieger. Krieger is a pond we live near. So these are cut into different pieces. What I did was trace them on here. I'm gonna keep these, not just to use as a stencil, but I'm gonna put them on top of the wood and glue them to them because it's gonna have a more finished look in the end. But what I'm planning to do is cut them out just slightly smaller inside the line versus outside the line, because that line is gonna be jagged. A little jagged. I'm not the best with a saw. Now, this was my grandfather's jigsaw. I don't know that I ever saw him using a jigsaw, a circular saw, maybe for some things, building arbors for plants and such. I've got the wrong cord. You can tell that he's had a problem that many people have done with a jigsaw, is not being aware where the cord is. And he sliced it right off. This is probably what happened here, and rather than taking the other end of the cord and reattaching it with that one, he did like a lamp cord here. So I'm just going to start cutting here, and I'm going to be mindful of where the edge of this table is so I don't cut into it. I've done that once over here before already, so we're going to try to just cut. Have our letters cut out. If you can see these, here's the RIG. I have one, well, the C we already had kind of a mistake with. I'm going to bolster that, and this one we're going to glue this right there, and then we're going to glue it behind it with a popsicle stick. To begin with is just use this, a regular sander, and just kind of hold it and then do this. Kind of do it on the flat side. You want to do it on the flat side once, and then you want to do it on the edges, and that way you're getting all this these ragged pieces off. All right, we are ready to put letters on this sign. So my friend Kelly used her Cricut cutter to cut out these letters on vinyl. I have tested one on foam and it will stick. So I have some letters here. We're going to go, the first one right here is a C. I have cut my transfer tape to the right size. So we are going to apply this transfer tape if I can get it. I just trimmed my fingernails. I just trimmed my fingernails, so this might take a while. I'm going to try to line the grid up here. All right, we've got our letter on the transfer tape. I'll rub it with around the corner so it sticks to this. All right, so we've got it on the transfer tape. Now we want to align it just where we want it, in the middle of this thing. Okay. We got a card. I'm using a light flimsier card because of this styrofoam. I don't want to scrape it or make sure it sticks. Vinyl will stay down for a second. There's a C. All right, now doesn't that look great? This was a little bit of work with the vinyl, getting those letters just right. So I'm re-gluing some of this fake neon, basically because it's made of silicone and very few glues actually adhere to this. So I'm using some silicone sealant. This is what you'd use on like an aquarium or something. It just takes a while to set. Hot glue and super glue would work. It would hold immediately, but it would loosen very fast. Trying to place this sign, you're going to make sure it's out of the way of any light, that it's basically as level as we're hanging the sign. So what we're going to do is take the sign off. We're going to put this aside. Now we're going to drill our support holes for these pieces directly through so we know where to drill. We've got some nails right here. So what we're going to do is now glue these to the board. And then we're going to screw this board to the back of the letter board. Then we're going to turn it all over and we're going to screw it back in from the back. Piece of wood that we had on the other piece that has the pre-drilled holes in it, so we can attach these from the back. What we're going to do is attach them to this one so we can put that on there, line it up, attach it from the back. Yay, isn't that cool? While we are waiting for these to kind of dry before we can mount those, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my two letters here. So there we go, that's pretty good. Is this the O or the N? I can't remember. Cut these letters out. I just printed them on a regular printer and I cut them out. But I just went over them with some craft paint to make them blacker. Is that gonna look? I have put spacers under each of these pieces. So this is what the back looks like. I took a lot of hot glue. We've got an extension cord with a splitter right here that's hot glued right here that has the plugs for both things in it, and here is our French cleat that we're going to hang it from. This is all right, and we're done. And for the piece de resistance, yay, we got it lit. You can do this at different intensities here. Woo, look at that. You can change the colors, have it crawl. You can do strobe stuff, that different views here. We can do the modes here. Make it blink like an old creepy sign like that. This is really awesome, right? All right, so the only thing to do is invite the birthday boy down. Jeffrey! Come a little closer. I want you to get on screen. On camera here, right here. Okay, wait. All right. All right, open them.
Oh my. Oh my god.
Is it cool?
I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless. Oh my god. Holy do I love it.
This was an amazing project. I'd never would have tried it had Jeffrey not believed in me, for one, and thought I could do something very cool. Trusted me to depart from his original design like a lot. I love mid-century modern style. I love to like stretch my design muscle. And I hope you continue to follow me for hopefully more cool things like this. Butch Biscuit, check it out. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and hopefully I'll have many more projects to come.